arts. Didn't lose all of you. I hope you stuck with me and found it interesting. And for all means, if you have not checked out the video of this 14-second fight, go on YouTube or wherever you go to watch videos online and watch the 14-second fight. It's a great watch. I myself watched it probably 10 times over and over again, picking it apart and marveling at Rhonda Rousey's fighting skills. But we'll call it quits now for Balls on Fire tonight. We will be getting to the meat of the show relatively soon here this evening, as well as squeezing in some quickies and contemplating our deep thought of the day at the end of every show like we do here every week. Just a reminder, you're listening to Balls Deep Sports Talk. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Scotty Ball. You're tuned into WNLMradio.com on Northern Lights Radio. All right. You know what? I don't feel like waiting until after the meet to do all the quickies, so let's get a quickie in right now, shall we? All right. So for this premature quickie, I figure I need to follow up my comments on women's mixed martial arts with a safe, surefire, super popular, can't miss quickie here. Major League Soccer. That's right, MLS, professional soccer. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking? I'm almost 20 minutes into the show and I've talked women's mixed martial arts, and now I'm going to talk soccer after that. Man, what am I thinking? Anyway, no, stay with me. This will be quick, and I think it's extremely interesting. It baffles me how this story can even be a real thing. So, for all of you vast, numerous, countless MLS fans here in the States, I can only assume that you were looking forward to this Friday as the beginning of your season. That's when their season starts. The MLS season starts this Friday, or at least it's scheduled to. However, there is some concern that it may not start on time. Bum, bum, bum. All right, now settle down, you crazy soccer hooligans. Put your pints down. Just hear me out for a second, okay? So the reason for the potential work stoppage is this: they're trying to reach a new collective bargaining agreement between the players' union and the MLS. Now, the players' union is threatening to strike, and the reason for threatening a strike is that there is currently absolutely no form whatsoever of free agency in MLS. None of any kind. And they're simply taking the stance that they want some form, any form, really, but some form of agreed upon free agency in their new collective bargaining agreement. That's all they want, some form of free agency. And MLS's stance on it is that they do not and will not have any form of free agency. They are completely opposed to it, now or ever, in any shape or form. So the reason that this is a story, to me at least, is not because I'm concerned about the soccer season being delayed or, heavens forbid, even canceled. Man, if they cancel the whole MLS season, can you imagine the chaos in the streets? But my interest is in it because I don't understand how any professional sports league in the free world that is, well, that's team sports based. That definitely plays a factor. Hard to do it with individual sports, but team sports. How can you have professional sports leagues where the players have absolutely no freedom over their careers and where they play and for how much money and stuff? Just you sign a contract and that's your life. And then when that contract's up, you can't just go sign with someone else. They still own you? How does that work? How does it exist that there's a professional sports league that doesn't have any kind of free agency at all? The players are basically a slave to the first organization that they sign with. That boggles my mind. How is that possible? If anybody knows the answer to this, let me know. Tweet it to me at BDST Show on the Twitter, or send it to me in a message or a post on Facebook at Scotty Ball. But anyway, enough soccer talk for at least another, 2-3 years. But I know you've been waiting for it. After sitting through 20 minutes of female mixed martial arts talk and soccer talk and collective bargaining talk, I know you've been anxiously awaiting the meat, and I'm not going to make you wait for it anymore. Here is the meat of the show tonight. And for the meat of the show tonight, I am talking for real everyone's favorite sport ever in the history of sports, football Americano. NFL, to be exact. But lots going on in the NFL world these days, I tell you. It's one of my favorite things about being a football fan is watching all of the transactions that take place during the off-season. There really is no time of the year where nothing is happening in the NFL world in regards to players and teams, movement, signings, whatnot. And for right now, it's really just starting to heat up. We've only just begun to get the first of the news in regards to player movement, draft picks, all that good stuff. Now, I was going to start talking about AP because most of my listeners, or at least a lot of my listeners, live here in Minnesota. I myself live in Minnesota, and there's plenty of AP opinion to be had, as well as semi-relevant news. However, I want to start real quick with a trade that was announced recently in the NFL, and it is the Philadelphia Eagles trading away running back LaShawn McCoy to the Buffalo Bills. Congratulations, Buffalo, by the way, for linebacker Kiko Alonso. Now, on the surface, it's easy to look at this trade and go, what the heck are you thinking, Philadelphia? What are you doing, Chip Kelly? However, I urge all Eagles fans or people who think that the Eagles got ripped off somehow in this trade, I urge them to be patient. I don't know if it will work out for them or not, but you do need some time to see what Kiko Alonso can do when he comes to your team to play linebacker this next season. People, for the most part, don't feel Kiko Alonso is an elite Pro Bowl level player at his position the way that LaShawn McCoy has been. However, this is in large part due to the fact that Kiko Alonso missed all of last season with a torn ACL injury. Now, before we go into this any further, you'll also want to note that Kiko Alonso played under Philadelphia Eagles head coach Chip Kelly at Oregon. And Chip Kelly has brought in several of his former Oregon Duck players to be on this Eagles team now. He is clearly bringing in his own regime, cleaning house what he can, and trying to establish as much of his own thing there as he possibly can. Now, the reason I tell Eagles fans or people just opposed to this trade who think it was a bad trade to slow down and be patient is it could possibly work. Like, at least give him the time and the chance to see if it works out. It could. Kiko Alonso could return to full health and young up-and-coming stud perennial Pro Bowl linebacker that he showed 2 years ago potential for being. However, it is extremely risky and questionable to be trading away a face of your franchise, the face of your offense, really, for a guy who didn't play a single game last year because he tore his ACL, and you're hoping that he can come back and be the player he used to be before that. That's where I have a little issue from a Philadelphia side with this trade. if Kiko Alonso had been healthy last year and recorded over 100 tackles and 5+ sacks, a few picks, some forced fumbles, some fumble recoveries, I don't think hardly any of us would be as confused or outraged or whatever over this trade as most people seem to be. But when you trade away a proven guy from your franchise who is still relatively young and in the prime of his career for someone who has not even entered the prime of his career yet, we don't know what that's going to look like, and he's already torn the ligaments in his knee, and who knows what he will be. So to me, that's the issue if you're an Eagles fan. However, if you are an Eagles fan and Kiko Alonso returns to stud form, you're not going to be crying about not having LaShawn McCoy anymore, because let's face it, you can go out and get a system running back or 2 or 3 in this league, especially with a Chip Kelly offense, and still have success. And you can find those guys fairly easily, much more so than, game-changing captain linebacker type of players. But so anyway, that's my initial thoughts on the McCoy for Kiko Alonso trade that the Bills made. And good for the Bills. They can part ways with C.J. Spiller. Fred Jackson's super old for a running back. They can finally have their running back situation squared away there. LaShawn McCoy is an every down back. He can be a workhorse. He can be a receiving threat. He can block out of the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside the tackles. He's as complete of a back as there is in the league these days. So it should pay immediate dividends for the Bills right away, assuming that the offensive line they have there can block for Shady and keep him healthy. However, the upside for the Eagles is still there, but it's much more questionable, and we will have to wait and see on that. Now, the Bills also made another trade. As of today, they traded some draft picks to the Minnesota Vikings. Thank you for Matt Castle and one of our draft picks. Haven't got the details on the picks yet, but I would just like to say thank you, Buffalo Bills. We'll take the draft picks. We don't need Matt Castle. Appreciate doing business with you. All right, I'm thinking we'll squeeze in the rest of the football news and then close the football news with AP just a little bit. So let's discuss some of the franchise tags, that have been handed out since the last show. Most noteworthy ones would be Dez Bryant getting the franchise tag in Dallas, and Demaryius Thomas, wide receiver, getting the franchise tag in Denver. An interesting note on Dez Bryant's franchise tag, it is not the normal exclusive franchise tag. So what that means is if a team wanted to match the offer sheet and trade the Cowboys, I want to say it's like 2 first-round picks, they could have him. Which, to me, if you're the Cowboys, that'd be a fantastic thing to happen. Not that you ever want to lose a talent like Dez Bryant, but with his character baggage, we'll just call it, he is questionably not worth the headache. And to get 2 first-round picks, get your cap room squared away, which they're in terrible cap trouble. Anyway, the Cowboys have no cap room. It wouldn't be a bad thing at all, but don't expect that to happen. Nobody's going to take on Dez's huge contract, try and re-sign him to a long-term deal for the biggest money of a wide receiver in football and give up 2 first-round picks to do it when they could just hopefully wait until next year and not have to give up anything to sign him to the monster contract that he wants. Now, the most notable person not franchise tagged would be Ndamukong Suh, defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. So he will be hitting the free agent market and is by far the biggest name, most coveted free agent on the market this offseason. And to the future suitor, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, that was bad, but anyway, to the future team who does get Ndamukong Suh, I just want to remind you of these 2 words: Albert Hainsworth.